Hey, Freq Radio listeners, it's summertime, and up here in the Northern Hemisphere, things are pretty hot. Why not soothe your weary minds by dipping into the Patreon community, where all the cool Freakers hang out? You get early access to new episodes, bonus tomfoolery from me, Carolyn, and Anita, merch discounts, listener polls, and the occasional surprise treat. You'll also get the chance to pat yourself on the back for supporting feminist pop culture analysis. If you want to be part of transforming the entertainment landscape, then support like yours is crucial to making sure that progressive voices are heard and challenging criticism finds a platform. Head on over to patreon.com/femfreak and sign up at any level to show your commitment to being critical of the media you love.
We still have to watch Jaws.
Yes.
Oh, we could do that.
Let's do it. Anita, let's do like a projector on the side of your studio or something and watch it outside.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's a film about intersectional feminism. We have to.
Rob, please keep that part in. Remind people.
All right. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Welcome to Feminist Frequency Radio. This is the show that asks you to be critical of the media you love. I'm Anita Sarkeesian, and I'm joined today by two women who are going to help me stir up a confusing mix of hash anthems and sour girl power. Ebony Adams.
What's up?
And special guest, Zahra Noorbaksh.
What's up?
This week, we're talking about what happens when some raucous chicks start an all-Muslim punk band. That's right, we're getting into the new Peacock original, We Are Lady Parts. So, this is our first week officially without Carolyn, and I am sad.
I can't talk about it. I'm still too upset.
But to rub the balm.
Go for it, Anita.
Yeah,
Where's this?
Yeah. No,
this metaphor is going to be nice.
This. I got this. Hold on. To rub the Vicks Vapo rub onto the balm of my Caro sadness, we have Zahra with us.
That's what I'm here
Zahra,
for.
if I was you, I would not be happy with that intro, but I'm going to let you go ahead and respond to it the way you want to.
It's soothing and healing.
Oh, I'm so here for it.
Come on.
Okay.
I just said Zahra is soothing and healing.
I'm like a body butter.
Yeah, man. But like...
You don't want to use Vicks like a body butter. Now, listen,
could you imagine?
Yeah, okay. Like, I grew up in a black household. I'm like a lot of brown people around the world. We used Vicks to heal everything, but even I don't want it on all my other parts.
When I was a kid, if I coughed in the middle of the night just once, my father would wake up and rub that shit all over my chest,
God.
and then I'd go to school smelling like that. It was a nightmare.
Yes.
And then... when I became a teenager and like rave culture started to be a thing and people would rub Vicks under their noses because like they liked the feeling of it when they were rolling. Like I was like, what the fuck? This is not a good memory.
Not into it. Although that would have been great as part of the show that we're going to be talking about later. If there'd just been a little nod to that, you know, like rave culture.
I'm just here to make you feel good.
Rave culture. Anyway, Zahra. It's been a while since you've been on. Would you like to refresh the listeners as to who you are and things you would like them to know about you?
My name is Zahra. I am a feminist Muslim Iranian-American comedian who also identifies as bi, pan. All of y'all are hot. And quit getting in your own way. That's what I want to say about that. And and last time I was on was for the other Muslim show.
Shut up.
Yay!
I did not do that. What show?
We are trash.
What show?
Rami on Hulu.
No,
oh my God.
okay.
Okay, but you've been on once before for a non-Muslim
Yes, I was
thing,
going to
okay?
say, let the record show. Like, I wasn't on for Rami, so she had to have been on another time.
Yeah, the other time
Ooh.
was for
Black
a
Lightning
segment on Homeland. Yeah.
Yeah, and Black Lightning.
And
No, you came on. We talked about Black Lightning. There were no Muslims on Black Lightning.
I did.
Which might be a problem, but still.
I'm actually really excited, though, that I'm here to talk about We Are Lady Parts, because since the show Rami and since our interview about it, I have new thoughts that relate.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, should we just give you the hour to just have a diatribe and Ebony and I'll just go have some iced tea on the corner?
Folks, if we could just get close for the next 50 minutes.
Huddle up, everybody.
Okay,
Zahra's about to get real.
Before this happens, one, please, everyone, learn from my mistake. Don't tokenize your friends and only invite them to talk about their identity, because that's shitty, and I can't believe this is the second time I've done this to you.
If you do, find that out before you start recording so the reveal doesn't happen on air.
She was
Ebony,
definitely waiting.
every time I come over, she always asks me if I want a falafel sandwich.
I
every
do
time.
not. And you know why I don't is because I'm allergic to fucking chickpeas, so I would never ask you that.
Sometimes she nicknames me her hummus.
Fuck off.
Okay.
None of this is
wow.
true. Do you know that
We need
comedians
to
lie
address
about
this.
everything?
She calls me her pita pocket.
Oh, do you call
That's
your
both nasty and awesome.
I love it.
I am going to start using that.
Do you call your husband a pita pocket?
I should. Why don't I call?
And he's white, and pita bread's white. Oh, Zahra.
Let me get up in that pita
I
pocket.
should, why
would
am I not
definitely say
calling
that.
him my pita pocket?
I don't
Right now, I just
know.
call him my white boy. That's it.
No, pita pocket. I like it.
Pita pocket. I actually have good nicknames for him. I have some solid ones. His name is Duncan, and I came up with Wunkless Pedunkless. That's pretty solid.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Wow. Cool.
Okay, Anita, you know what?
I don't.
Zahra and I are going to take this one. Zahra and I will take this one. You go ahead and sign off.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye. Cool. All right, let's get on with the Zahra Muslim hour.
It's time for your Muslim threesome.
All right, We Are Lady Parts is a new comedy from writer-director Nida Manzoor and centers around the brash, raucous, unapologetic members of all-female, all-Muslim punk band. The show is both wildly funny and fiercely feminist, and in the hands of white and or non-Muslim writers, We Are Lady Parts could have easily coasted along as a one-note gimmick. But like the band's incendiary songs, there's more than just 3 chords and some attitude on display here. Over the course of 6 episodes, the show deftly explores the life, loves, and struggles of some wildly different young Muslim women, and it does it all without resting on tired cliches or boring stereotypes. Let's get into it.
Let's get the fuck into it. I loved the show.
Okay.
How did I just watch it now?
I need to say something.
No.
I have to say something.
No.
Do it.
Zahra,
Say
keep
it.
talking. Let's talk over her.
Do it. Say it.
I
Do
am-
it. Say it.
Madly, deeply in love with Syra.
Okay,
And
this is what I knew was coming.
I both want to be her and also have sexual relations with her. And it's very confusing. And also, but also, she's the worst partner that's ever lived. But also, she's so fucking hot. And the shots at the butcher shop, I was like, I'm done. I'm like a puddle of goo now. I can't.
Listen. Talk. I swear to the audience, to everyone, I will stop objectifying after the next statement. But Sarah and Abdullah, threesome, yes, please.
Pretty hot.
Amina and Hassan, threesome, yes, please. Okay, I'm done.
They're
I'm
so
done.
hot.
I just
Okay.
wanted to lay that out there.
Yeah, no.
Some beautiful ass people in this show.
So hot. They're just the hottest.
This is where I get to come in and just say, who's available?
Same. And I will fight you, if any of these people are like in the running. Also, like, I don't want to spend any more time than is, appropriate talking about the men on this show when all of the women are so good.
I mean, yeah, the
But
men are adequate.
The men are too, though.
so good. But also, I just, shout out to the actor who plays Hassan, because I recognized him from some Doctor Who episodes, some of the best from 12's run. And it were the episodes where he plays a sign language interpreter, and the actor is actually proficient in BSL, British Sign Language, in like real life. So just the people in this show, come on, y'all, it's so good.
Amazing.
So good.
Okay, Zahra, why don't you kick it off? And now that I've gotten all of my horniness out.
And I have as well.
I don't believe either of you. Okay.
True. Yeah, you
I
should.
mean, for one, it's a punk rock band. Like, come on.
Come on, yes.
And
Their final show, their final gig.
It was
I can't
so
tell you how cool
good.
it was to see Black people. I mean, at a punk show, we get written out of punk so much. So, I mean, just the fact that Beastma is in the band, I was so here for it. But to see like all those Black punk fans too, yes.
Yes, and frequently also written out of Muslim narratives.
Yep.
But
Yup.
not here.
Nope. Oh, God. It's so
We
good.
need like riff tracks here. We need to insert some electric guitar buttons.
So good, right?
They're so good. And then they have like Yeah, and some of the times they even have like it's like basically I'm watching a music video.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just so much healing happening all in one, because it's like, remember how you wanted to see us dancing and rocking out? Remember how you wanted to see us playing some fucking baller music? Remember how you wanted to see us like in a music video? You didn't know that, did you? But you did. And then also sometimes it's just like a straight up fashion show in there, is like gorgeous outfits.
So good. I mean, this show visually is amazing. So I was expecting just like a straight up like, half-hour multicam comedy. But like visually, there's stuff going on with like these psychedelic animations. There's puppetry at some parts, Just it's so like wildly inventive and creative that there's well, I shouldn't say I'm amazed, but I kind of am, because so much of like the comedy we get these days is kind of one note, is kind of like one dimensional, but there is so much deftness and richness here. And one of the things that Anita, you mentioned in the intro, is that there's no way we would have gotten a show like this without having a Muslim writer's room or like a white writer's room, the way that this show is clearly like from the inside is evident everywhere.
Yeah, so comedy is hard. Like, I think that we've gotten a lot better comedy in the last, 5 years, decade or so. But comedy is really hard for character development, I think. And I think that the show makes really good choices about what they are focusing on with each of these characters. Like, I think that there's only so much depth you can go into in this kind of context. And I feel like I really liked what they were doing, right? Like the Amina and the tension between like leading this like very traditional path that she's like, get married, go to school, do the thing. But then the tension around that, Saira being so emotionally disconnected and like so focused on like, like her truth, that not realizing how that's like damaging herself and the people around her. Like they each have, not all of them, I think Bisma is the least developed of all of them on the show, but they all have like a little bit to them that's more, in a way that I felt was really great, right? It was like these things that you don't, I don't know. I mean, do you ever see a show with this many Muslim women ever?
Nope.
Right? And so having them all be so like different as well, I think is valuable. One thing, sorry, I just want to add to this, is I was having, tension isn't the right word because I didn't have a problem with this, but usually I would have a problem with the fact that they're like, let's represent one of each type of Muslim, right? Like the band is very much like, here are different ways of presenting and of practicing and of being and of backgrounds of like, where folks are from. And it felt very like, we're just gonna like go down the list and like add one of each, but right. And that shit normally really annoys me. It's like, it tends to be this weird, like tokenizing, like forced diversity thing. But in this case, like I acknowledged it, but it didn't bother me. Like I thought it added a lot of interesting depth. And for a show like this, which is like first of its kind, it's kind of cool to see that, right? To be exposed to that much like Muslim diversity.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it felt very organic in that they were a band. They were not friends before this. They had sort of been gathered. So the fact that they all came from, different families, different backgrounds, didn't feel as off to me. Like, it didn't feel like a, United Colors of Benetton ad, Middle East style.
I mean,
the way that they were doing that. But the thing that really resonated for me as, a non-Muslim viewer was, and I was conscious of this, and so happy to see it. The way that okay, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about the men, but I do think it's important that, we are shown supportive, like joyful Muslim men as the norm.
Yes.
Here. So like Amina's dad, Amina's parents, period. So good. So funny. But like Bisma's husband, Hassan, whatever, it's the expectation is just set up like, of course you're, amazed and grateful to be with these amazing women, why would you be any different? Of course, you're going to support their dreams and allow them to sort of, set the terms for how the relationship is going to go. And in fact, the men who are sort of, like characterized as being ludicrous are the men who are unsupportive, who are, sort of hidebound and reactionary. I mean, we never get that. We never get that. There's no way that like a story like this with characters like this written with like a white writer's room wouldn't have had like Amina's parents being the source of the conflict, ultimately we're showing that she's, embracing tradition kind of, not really on her own, but she seems much more devout, at least on the surface, than her parents do, right? Like she's pushing this in a way on herself. They aren't pushing it on her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's just so many, there's two friend groups. I don't think I've seen a show with white women with this much diversity.
Right.
Like, when do we get to see like the Sex in the City with two opposing friend groups from like two different points of view that all also hang out and all have a richness to them as well? Like, I thought that was so brilliant that she's torn between these two friend groups.
Yeah.
Because then I could be like, oh my God, I have those friends. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, that's the truth, is that like we do kind of have to move through communities and then of pockets of friends. And as we grow up, we change, our views change, our lives change, and we're up against change and we transform, and there's friction there. And then you the group that you used to hang out with, you don't connect with quite as much. And then, you kind of wonder, am I giving them enough of a chance? Am I giving myself enough of a chance? And, it's that's how it works. It's much more organic. And in shows with men, we see that all the time. When we watch like Knocked Up, there's his buddies, and then there's his family life, and then there's his parent life. But I feel like when it comes to women, we got to pick. Is this the parent show? Is this the friends show? Is this the dating show? You have to pick. You don't get to show the full landscape of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think it's really awesome that the realization that they can choose themselves, and like Amina, she can do what she wants to do. It's not presented as her, like success in that arena is not presented as a greater embrace of like Western or white culture. So the show does not move towards her like deciding not to wear hijab anymore. Like, Mumtaz, like she wears the niqab the entire time. Like there's never, a question that those things are going to happen,
And I love that they also have her smoking and eating and stuff too. And it's not this gross, like, how do you function,
Exactly.
Well, and literally where else do we ever see that character?
No.
Right.
Well, and
Homeland,
also,
like that's it.
I had this moment, I think, I had this moment in the first one or the first episode or two where I was like, okay, but it's only women in a space, like not the band space, but maybe it was like with Noor and Amina, where I was like, well, they can take their scarves off, right? Like the scarf is a, like a public and, gendered male thing if they wanted to. And I was like, I wonder if that, like, I wonder what they're doing with that. And then you do see that. Like you see that later on. There are moments where like they're not always in, wearing scarves or whatever in certain environments. And I liked that they showed that variety and like the shifting of that a little, not shifting, but like just the fact that, like it's just, I don't know. Did that make sense? I finished my thought.
Yeah, exactly. But like, and not in a, like here's an anthropological textbook.
No,
kind
and
of
they
way.
don't even explain it.
And in these
right?
situations, yeah, exactly. Like in these situations, hijab is not necessary, whatever. It's just like, this is naturally a part of their lives. The fact that we see them, conducting prayers, like as a group, it wasn't like a big thing was made of it. It just, this is how they live their lives. And it's regular. And you can tell that, this is just who they are and what they do. And it wasn't somehow inserted into the show after the fact, or it wasn't a plot point in and of itself.
Yeah, you know what? I think part of the goalpost there, part of what that is the goalpost isn't about representation. It isn't like, okay, we nailed that. she looks like a real Muslim girl and they all look like real versions of Muslim girls. Done. We did it. Yay. And like, here we go. We're going to show them up against, you know, the expectations of white people. There, it's done. We did it. You know, instead, I'm watching a show where I'm seeing characters celebrate themselves.
Yeah.
And they have a rich inner life and some
confidence.
of it. And some of it bumps up against their drives, and some of it, you know, bumps up against stereotypes, and some of it doesn't, and some of it defies it, and some of it doesn't. And there's so many women to watch go through that there isn't one that gets to exist that's kind of the one and only.
Right.
So I would like to talk about the spoken word night.
Oh God. Okay. Y'all, I loved this show, but that was the one part where I was like, this joke feels a little bit 2000 and late. the spoken word part. So I'm gonna let the show cook, but
yeah, okay, I hear you. But also, I don't think a spoken word joke is ever dated, because spoken word is this thing is cheesy. So the spoken word thing, and then okay, sorry, there's a couple other notes that are not related to this. It was I think part of why it worked here though is because it did, like, what a interesting way that Zahra was like, I'm gonna help you get over your fear, and like we're gonna start at a fucking spoken word, right? Like, and I'm gonna go first, and then she says this fucking poem, and you're like, God damn it, I love you. But like it was this sort of cringy space that they invigorated so much tension, and like, you know, there's the conflict between her and her part or whatever, the guy she's seeing. I love that they didn't make her a lesbian. Like, I love that they didn't make Zahra the lesbian because of the way she dressed, you know? So yeah, there's that. And then that same episode, I think, is the episode where they go to the bar full of white dudes, like the pub. And that was really hard to watch. But then at the end of that scene, they all are so excited that they got through it. And it's just, there's just little moments like that. And I loved about this show.
Yeah, I mean, the creator has talked about how this show just came from a place of so much joy and laughter, and that's evident. I mean, again, how many times do I have to say this, people? I don't like feeling real human emotion, and yet I felt it at numerous points during this show. I legitimately teared up a little bit during We Are the Champions.
Oh my God.
And the series finale, or I was like, we are the champions. There's no time for losers because we are the champions.
Well, the music was dope. Like, okay, episode 1, they reference Babes in Toyland, and I was like, I feel seen. And then they play 9 to 5. They play Creep by Radiohead. They play Queen. Like, they killed it with the music on this. And then their original song, like, Voldemort's alive and he's hiding under my headscarf.
Oh my God.
What the fuck? That's amazing.
So
it's so good, but also Bashir with the beard. I was like,
my God.
Yeah, speak this truth to power, because I feel the same way, y'all. I have a sickness. Just so the creator, Nida Manzoor, co-wrote all of the originals with her siblings.
Oh.
Like, I bet your family is funny as hell. Because, yeah, the show, it could have been, and I know I keep saying this, but that's because I'm always seeing, like, the whack version of something in my head. But this, it's like, they could have been just really shitty novelty songs, but they actually burn the fuck up.
Yeah.
They legitimately burn the fuck up. And those ladies shred. Like, the music is bomb. In the course of 6 short episodes, you're like, I can see this band going somewhere. And I want to punch Zarina for being this, like, what? Like, who is this bitch coming in, you know, messing with my girl Aisha, who, like, was maybe my favorite. I'm not sure. She was just a little puffball of rage, a big puffball of rage. And I feel that, you know? But the way she messed with her and sort of made the band doubt themselves and eventually was like the Yoko of the band.
But wasn't Zarina such an interesting fucking character though? Like, like the accuracy or whatever. I know everything is a caricature, but like done in a way that I felt like, especially with the core cast, was very like loving. Like, Amina could have been really annoying. Like, there was a borderline for me where it's just like, oh my God, chill the fuck out. But that never happened, right? Like, I think that they, like you're saying, presented all of these like these caricatures with a lot of love and really developed them into real characters. I feel like Zarina, while being a caricature of an influencer, was such an interesting fucking storyline and like was such a like, yeah, like that is kind of what would happen, you know, like gotta get the story, gotta get the scoop. And like, I didn't bother to get to know any of you. I'm just trying to get clicks. And like, I felt that, and I felt for them so much. And like, you know where this is going when she was introduced, right?
Yeah, I mean, and apparently, so the show, like a pilot was ordered back in 2018 and was filmed and viewed, and Nida Manzoor got like tons of blowback and hate mail and stuff, and wound up like shutting down her social media accounts for a while. So I'm wondering how much of the stuff that we see after the release of Zarina's article is stuff that she actually, it did feel very real. You know, and you can, in a way, sort of forgive some of the folks who reacted that way because the band is painted in this very, you know, like as ludicrous caricatures, you know, as people who are dismissive and disrespectful. So, you know, if all you know of them is this portrait that's been presented in this magazine, then yeah, you might be like, okay, fuck it. You know, we don't need any more representations of Muslim women like this. Like, you're actually doing damage to us socially. That's a legitimate fear. Now, of course, we know as the audience that stuff's inaccurate, but in the world of the show, the people reading that have no way of knowing that that's the case.
Yeah, it cracked me up, that scene where they meet her. And I forget the character's name that was like fawning all over her,
Aisha.
but like walked in. Aisha.
No, sorry. Yeah, it is.
It was Aisha. And they were playing Vela Vargas in the background. It was so romantic. So good.
And I just love, like, because you know that feeling or that person who's just like, I'm tough, nothing can get me. And then just like, I can't, whatever you want. I'm a slave to you,
was, like,
whatever.
So in love with her. It was awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was just so good. I feel like all the connective tissues were so good, right? Like,
yeah,
it's very good writing.
It really is. And I do hope that we get more of Bisma in season 2. I believe the show's been picked up.
Okay, I don't want a season 2. Sorry. Oh. And maybe I'm having feelings about another show right now, but overall, I feel like this was a great beginning and end and like mini series, like British style, like fucking love these characters, love the journey. And then like season 2, they're going to be together and in it. And so the conflict isn't internal anymore. The conflict is going to have to be external. And like, that might be fine, but it also might just be kind of like, oh, you had success and now you don't know what to do with it.
Well, I hope like that's the way they go, though. Wait, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
No, I finished.
I hope that they go the route of something external and it doesn't turn out in season 2 to kind of, you know, all become implosive and for characters to conveniently become jerks. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of devices. But I will also say I'm here for it also turning into a giant mess.
Go on.
I feel like we need more, and this speaks to the comedy element. There are a couple of things that make it nearly impossible for Black, Indigenous, people of color at all to be funny and successful.
Yeah.
There's 2 things that will always kill a joke: confusion and concern. I can't tell you how many times I've been at a comedy club and I'm just like, we all just want me to turn this into a TED Talk, don't we? No one actually cares if I do jokes anymore. Like, people would just straight up nod and be like, yeah, let's just do that. Let's give her some extra time and get her a projector screen and let's just go for that. You know, it's ridiculous. And when it comes to, you know, us on stage, us in front of the camera, us with our stories, the stakes are so freaking high. It's impossible. And I felt this way about Rami's Hulu show, where I just like, you know, after being on here and sort of talking about it with other folks and having a chance to just like digest it, I just found myself so mad that like, that was the first time I was having those conversations and the stakes were so high.
Yeah.
You know, like, can you imagine watching this and for me to like walk away from it being like, well, I didn't see myself on there. You know, where's the Persian girl? I want to see the Persian. How come that's not, you know, there's so much work we have to do and the stakes are so high in how we represent, how we nail it, how we even just maneuver through notes with executives. The stakes are so high, and comedy is a low stakes art form. Most of the comedy that exists in the world is just fun. It's just fun for the sake of being fun. And like, you know, 7% of the time at all, comedy, that's the most Latin I've said in this podcast, by the way.
You so educated.
At all twice now. Most of the time, it's not that smart. It's not like, you know, so perfectly crafted and poignant. Most of the time, comedy is just like, that's fun. That's nice. I enjoyed that. And we need that room and we need the chance to make mistakes. That's how we innovate. We've got to have a chance to fuck up, to have the second season, try it out, see what happens with these characters, because then, you know, that's how good her next show's going to be. That's how good these women's next, you know, performances are going to be. That's how sharp it's going to get, is the amount of mistakes that they're allowed to make in these spaces. So I hope they make a mess. I hope they get a fabulous contract and take full advantage of it and take every risk in the book.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. While also recognizing that, yeah, we don't get those second chances the way that white dudes do, right? So if the show is picked up for season 2, and if it is a profound, glorious, crazy mess, you know, the chances of there being another show with a bunch of like alternative Muslim women,
right?
You know, goes down back to zero, right? This will be the only one. So yeah, it's hard. But Anita, like I feel what you're saying about only wanting it to be one like sort of perfect self-contained thing, but I do feel hope. I feel like the strength of this writer's room is strong enough that I trust that if they were to continue this story, that they would have something to say. I also think like Channel 4, so it was Channel 4 and Peacock that put out this show that produced it. Like I would have said the same thing after season 1 of Catastrophe, for instance, which was another Channel 4 show. And then we got subsequent seasons and I thought they were just as good, you know? So I feel like there's some strong people at the helm.
Honestly, I'm really upset about another show that I love that had terrible second season. So I'm just like, no, one season's for everyone, please. That's where I'm at right now. So Zahra, I agree with what you're saying around like marginalized folks don't get to just be messy or fun. It always has to be about like liberatory politics, or it has to be about like identity and all of that kind of stuff. And like, that's not fair and that's not okay. And that's a product of systems of oppression, right?
I'm not entirely saying that, but go on.
Oh, then correct what I'm saying. So I don't respond to the wrong thing.
Well, because I also want to hear your response to that. But the caveat to that, that I'll add, I actually don't even know if I'm using the word caveat right. How do we do these things?
Just
those.
Got it. You're good. Keep going.
It's not so much that that's what it has to do. It's whatever it is, it has to be excellent.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Like, because to an extent, we can't escape liberatory pot. Like, I'm not here to be like, don't talk about race. Like, yeah, good luck. You know what I mean? Like, the personal is political. That these are our lives. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So I will. Yes, 100%. So adding or qualifying with that, it has to be perfect, right? So what pisses me off though is the reality of like, if it does fail, then it will be proof that these things don't work. And then the like Ebony was saying, the other thing doesn't get funded or they don't get work again because they failed.
Yeah, they're going to do that anyway.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is like really successful female directors who like find great success at Sundance, get loads of I don't know what the word is, exposure, get assigned for their first movie or whatever. Like nothing comes after. It's not like they're now in the system. It's that like they are basically starting from scratch again, even though they've already proved themselves, unlike all these cis white dudes who get to fail upwards, right?
Yep.
So like how how do we remedy these things in the reality of a system that is unforgiving and will not let you fail? Or if you do fail, then you never get another opportunity again.
And this is where I'd like that guitar riff for the op-ed I'm about to throw down.
Throw down.
Okay, so after I was on this show talking about Rami's show on Hulu, I went through so many feels because as soon as the show posted, Rami instant messaged me, which he never does. I can't wait to listen.
Oh.
And I was like totally sweating. And I'm like, man, this is my friend. This is my friend's show. And then I had a picture in my head of all the things we were going to do together and hang out. And I never heard from him again. But I just was like, this is us. We're these folks. We're the ones out here making this art. And when I see aspiring comedians and aspiring artists out there, I know they're also looking and they're comparing themselves and they're checking to see how successful they might be or can be possibly. And they've done so many studies on the need for visualization and for role models in that. I think it's like the success rate when you just visualize the next day going on a walk, is like 95%.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't actually visualize it and you just kind of tell yourself, it's like 40% basically. These are my TED Talk figures. So the reason why I bring that up is this. We're all watching for so many reasons. We're watching because we want to see, how are they going to do this? Are other people going to watch it? And then we also want to see ourselves represented, and that's so healing. So healing. I remember just seeing MIA on screen as a 10-year-old. She had video of herself as a 10-year-old watching it on the big screen, and she looked so much like me when I was a kid. And I just burst into tears, and I was like, I didn't know that was in there. I was in therapy for 9 years. I didn't know that was in there,
Real human emotion. I'm telling you, it's dangerous.
Oh, my God. So, I'm watching my friend with his show and how he's navigating everything and knowing that also, he's a guy, and that helps a lot. And, look at all of these fantastic women, so wildly talented, multi-talented, singing, performing, playing, music. And, we know about all the guys, Riz and Rami and Hassan, right? So like, and the guys, were in Vanity Fair saying like, we need to support brown women like 3 years ago. And where is that? You know what I mean? Like it's constant. It's constant. And women don't get to have the same leeway that the men get to have. And I was sitting with all these sort of like disparate planets in orbit, just like, how do these align? And then something I realized was I was looking at it with a scarcity lens. And one of the things that I have been studying in pandemic is scarcity. I got this fellowship thanks to the Opportunity Agenda for honoring me with this Innovations Fellowship on Artist Safety and Resilience. And one of the things that I started studying was scarcity, and I noticed something that is so telling when we're in a scarcity mindset is it has to be one or the other. There's no landscape where all these planets and all these challenges get to just kind of be in orbit and collide sometimes and not other times. Scarcity puts us all in that like Indiana Jones position where we have to like switch one for the other. You remember that famous scene?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so then it's like, well, what is this? Is this going to be the show that nails representation and we need to have it stay running so that, we can see more brown women represented and we can bring other characters or different kinds of, or is it that it's got to be tight and it's got to be a great show? Or is it, and we start competing, And one of the things that I want to say to people listening is let your artists make a lot of mistakes. There's no better way to support the art that you love and to feed yourselves than to let the artists that you love make lots of mistakes. Love them with how many mistakes you let them make and just keep showing up. Just keep showing up for the next show.
That's
a whole word right there. We could wrap up the show, Anita.
I know. I was like, we're done now. Zahra, is
okay, because I have to cry now.
Is that report public?
No, it will be soon.
Cool.
It will be soon.
We will share it with all of you when it's
Thank
up
you.
Because, I think that I'm familiar already with some of the work you're doing around there, and it's really powerful and important.
Sometimes when I'm watching a show, I can get so stuck on seeing kind of like how everyone is represented and if I am seeing myself in it, you know? And so I started to ask myself, well, Zahra, let's just assume there's like 7 of these shows out right now. You know, now what happens to the stakes?
Mm-hmm.
And now what happens to how you watch it?
Yeah.
It's so tough, you know, because as women of color, like creatives, this tightrope is there for us to walk, and it is almost impossible to imagine not having to traverse this tightrope, wherein, you know, you're trying to get your art out there, you're trying to share your stories, your vision with an audience, but on the one side is the demands of the market and the knowledge that it's hard for any show to get greenlit and to make it to screen, let alone a show about an all Muslim, you know, female punk band.
Yeah.
You know, and then on the other side is I want to try like new amazing, like as an artist, I want to write, you know, all kinds of stories and I want to try all kinds of things. And I will never be satisfied as an artist if I don't maintain my integrity. So that's that. And walking that tightrope, it's impossible to imagine that there's a way to succeed, to get across, to whatever, you know, the platform represents for you without traversing that tightrope. But I appreciate you saying that, like, we cannot, you know, like we will never be able to open our hands to any kind of, you know, creative abundance or joy or whatever, you know, if we operate from that scarcity mindset. In so many ways, you know, like if we assume like, okay, this is the only one, so everything has to be perfect, or, you know, like if the representation in this isn't pitch perfect for me, and so I'm going to not take anything from this.
Right. All or nothing. Yeah. And I mean, how freeing is it to be able to like critique it from like 3 angles without feeling like that's it for forever?
Right.
You know, because it's not like only one vantage point on it is accurate. There's so many ways to review good work, you know, especially when it's good. Sweet. I knew I was right.
And on that note,
all right, y'all, we'll be right back with some freakouts.
What's up, FFR listeners? We've got so much great conversation coming your way this month on Feminist Frequency Radio. Why not sign up to get early access and bonus episodes? Oh, and help us keep making the show? Head on over to patreon.com/femfreak today and sign up.
What's your freak out?
Now it's time to talk about what's been thrilling us, moving us, upsetting us, or infuriating us this past week. Zahra, what do you got for us?
Okay. Something I'm freaking out about. This is just a thing I keep seeing everywhere, and everybody says it. I don't have the capacity. Everyone say, I don't have capacity for fill in the blank. And what I want to say is, we are not the judges of our capacity. That's actually not up to us. The thing that tells us what's our capacity is crisis, a pandemic, you know, moments where it isn't up to us and we have to tap into that reserve. And I really just want people to say, I'm tired. That's so much more accurate. We have such a deep well of, like, our capacity is a deep well. Is that the right grammar? I'm just not hitting it today.
Roll with
it. We have so much to give. We have so many gorgeous reserves. And, you know, of course, we shouldn't be like reaching into them all the time to just like give. We need to say when we're tired. Just say I'm tired. It's not elegant, but it's the truth.
I feel like there's a semantic argument here. Like,
go for it.
Like, I think I feel like I do and don't agree with you because I feel like it might be based on semantics, but like I think we are the arbiters of our own capacity, and it might be a matter of defining what you and I are interpreting capacity as. Not that it's like open, not that the word is open for interpretation, but we might be using it differently because I think like capacity and boundaries and all of that are connected, and that we do make those choices. And so like us being tired or depleted or traumatized or whatever has an impact on what we can and cannot take on. It doesn't mean that if you were like thrown into a lion's den, you wouldn't be able to run, even though you might not think you can make it. But like, I don't think that's the same as the day-to-day, like, I just can't do this thing.
Oh, I gotcha. Well, here's where I'm coming from. When I'm thinking about its utility, the thing is right now, none of us have a capacity. All of us are being asked to work and be present beyond our ability, beyond what's healthy, beyond what we should, and beyond what's really necessary. Our government is failing in incredible ways. This is the one time we need infrastructure, and it's failing, right? So then what's going to happen? The people who are below our station, the people who we don't need a win over, the people who we see as, I can say no to this person, it's always going to be people who we can afford to let down. And I think right now that's really dangerous. And I think we need a kind of semantic redirect around how we allocate our energy, because otherwise we're approaching a year of just constantly being in a reactive state. And we're going to lose sight of what our capacity actually is.
That's interesting. I think for me, I appreciate the encouragement to really like drill down into what I mean when I say I don't have the capacity for this. Is it that I'm tired? Is it that I don't have the resources to do something, whatever those resources might be? But I would like to add my own addendum here, which is that sometimes it is you just don't want to do something. And I know Anita is about to laugh here because she knows I never want to do anything.
I never want to do anything either. I'm just like,
I want people to feel more free to say no to things and have the no be the complete sentence.
Love it.
No, I'm not interested in that. I don't want to do that.
I'm so good at saying no. Just if anyone needs like
Girl,
a crash
you lying.
course.
You lying.
No, I am actually like in some ways I'm very fucking good at it. And so I am here to be y'all's guide through how to fucking say no to everything that comes up. Just saying.
Yeah.
I got mad
I
at one of my
that.
employees recently for offering to do something that I knew they didn't want to do. I was like, why? Mm-hmm. Just say no. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so important and can't be said enough. Leading by desire. So many times I'll hear people escalate their want into a need. And I feel like, when it comes to some elements of semantics, I think it's worth noting because there are things our body believes when we say them. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
For us to like say, I need my art, no, I don't. But I don't need it. We're not here to live a bare bones life like Survivor on CBS. Like, that's a show. I don't need to do it. I want to. And that's the most human thing that there is. And it's so vulnerable to want a thing. I feel like so many times because we can't bring ourselves to say no, set that boundary, we're escalating our want into a need.
I'm going to add to this inspiration hour.
Nice.
By sharing that over the pandemic, which is still happening, everybody, but over the deep lockdown isolation, I spent a lot of time. I didn't spend a lot of time, but it so happened that I started thinking about what I actually want with my life. As I think some other people did, and for me, I was traveling all the time, and once I started getting like asked if I want to fly here or go there, I was like, no, like I don't. And it's not like, yes, I have big safety concerns right now for sure around COVID stuff. But like, I was like, I don't want to get onto an airplane. Like it made me feel bad. Like airports and airplanes contributed negatively to my health. And I started thinking about like what like being on the road all the time and being away from my home all the time was in direct conflict with all of the things that I said that I wanted. And it just took me like a fucking pandemic and not seeing anyone to like realize and start thinking about these things. So I shared that just to be like part of what I like, and I might be putting my own shit on. Well, we all put our own shit onto what other people say, but part of it is like what I think it's become slightly easier for me to set boundaries, especially professionally, when I'm like, but is this going to contribute to my goals? And if the answer is no, then I don't do the thing, you know? And it's not always that easy at all by any means, you know? Like sometimes you feel like you should do this or that or whatever, but I just encourage folks to really think about like, what are your goals and what do you want to achieve? And when people ask you if you can do a thing, like go through that cycle, be like, does this contribute to those things? And whatever, look, this is not taking into consideration someone asking you to go buy groceries for them or like your friend being in like a hard way or whatever, you know, like this is more like professional stuff, but I don't know, that's just something I've been thinking about in terms of some of this conversation in general, right? What do I have the capacity for? Like I can miraculously pull out the capacity for a meeting with someone that's in the field that I want to be in or whatever, right? But like the other, like, do you want me to go on this podcast about the online harassment? Like, no, I don't want to fucking do that. Like,
it's dessert stomach.
What?
It's dessert stomach. You know how like you'll be so full you can't eat another thing, but then someone's like, "Oh, do you want dessert?" And you're like, "Some space magically cleared up." You know, I feel like I have an extra stomach. Maybe it's dessert stomach.
That is such a great way of putting it. Well, also, like, okay, so y'all know that I threw this Ted Lasso party, and I was like, I don't know if I have the energy to put this fucking thing together, and I found someone to do it with me. And so that's the other thing is, like, you can lean on other people. Like, and that's a question of whether they have the space for it too, right? But if they're both excited, you can, you know, whatever. So I don't know. I might have taken us a little too far off course of what you were trying to get at, Zahra, but I feel like
all under the same umbrella.
It's, kind of orbit. All right. Well, folks, if you want to submit your own freak out, we'd love to hear about it. Tell us about your capacity.
Oh, God.
feministfrequency.com/freakout, FREQOUT. All right. Thank you all so much for listening to Feminist Frequency Radio. And thank you, Zahra, for joining us today because you are a Toki Muslim friend. I'm so sorry.
Can't wait until we talk about another Muslim media project and bring you back.
Zahra, what are you working on? What do you want to plug? Where can people find you?
Oh my goodness, so many things.
Do it.
Please, folks, join in on my morning flash comedy writing. I started it to create an online community of folks writing. I think that we're going to be in surge times, in and out for a while. And meanwhile, I need a write. If you do too, come hang out with me on Zoom. You can go to my website, zahracomedy.com. And I'm just basically looking for other people that enjoy other folks in the morning. Extroverts, where you at? We hop on for half an hour. I lead us through some drills and games, and it's fun. And it helps me fundraise. It's a donation-based. No one will be turned away. It's entirely donation-based so that I can see through the post-production of my comedy special entitled On Behalf of All Muslims. A comedy special.
All right.
Amazing.
So good.
I want to come. Why haven't I come to one of those classes?
Come.
I should.
All this week.
All
It's super fun.
I mean, I won't this week, but I will maybe next week. I don't have the capacity, Zahra.
Lord.
Damn it.
All right, tune in next week. We'll be chatting about creativity in a crisis with author Charlie Jane Anders. You can check out her newest book, which is still in pre-order. I think it comes out in like a week or two, called Never Say You Can't Survive, How to Get Through Hard Times by Making Up Stories. It's really good, y'all.
Nice.
I have an advanced copy because I'm so special. It's really good. I do think everything that Charlie Jane writes is really good. So But it's a good one.
Phenomenal.
So yeah, join us next week while we be chit-chatting about all that. Our show is engineered by Rob Para. Carrie Stimson provides technical support. Artwork is by Jamie Varon. And our intro music is by Phil Serkis. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.